Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. So today we are going to play around with some of the ephemera packs that Stampin' Up! Has. And I'm going to show you how to make some really quick and simple cards. So I have several different card layouts that I want to share with you. And you can really mix and match any of the ephemera packs together. So I'm primarily going to be using the Spring Celebrations ephemera pack, but I do have one card, which is this one right here, that I added in some of the elements from the fully flowering ephemera pack. But the majority of them are going to be with the Spring Celebrations. So I think that these ephemera packs are really great for making just quick and simple cards. There's really no stamping involved. You don't have to do any coloring unless you want to. So I'm going to share two different designs, one where I colored it and then the other one where I just left the element as is. So I hope you guys enjoy these card ideas. I have 6 different cards that I'm going to share with you. And so let's get started. So good morning. Good morning. All right, so these are the first couple of cards that we are going to put together. And this one in particular is the one that I did some coloring on. The rest of them, I just used the elements as they are. I did use some designer paper from the Country Woods Designer Series paper pack. And then I also used some of the what's it called? Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper. So I kind of mixed the designer paper and I mixed the ephemera. So you can mix and match everything. So we're going to start with this one. But before I do that, I want to show you what's in this ephemera pack. So this is the pack that, like I said, primarily I'm going to use. And so it has all these different sheets of greetings that you can use on your cards. And then, of course, there's some other little elements here that I'm going to use to decorate the card. So you have greetings and you have focal points in this little pack of elements, I guess. I'll call them elements. So there's a bunch of different things in here. There's 2 sheets of each of these. I guess there's 3 different designs. Each of the sheets has 2. So there's 2 sheets for each of these. So there's a lot of card making that you can do with just one of these ephemera packs. All right, so let's start out with this particular card. So this one, what I did is just created some different layers. So you can use these elements from the ephemera pack any way you want. I wanted to just create some layers with some designer paper, some cardstock. You can add a little bit of texture like I did in the background. You can make these as simple as you want. So we're going to start out with a piece of white cardstock for the base of the card. That's what I have for that. And then we're going to add a little bit of designer paper in the background. So this piece is 3 inches wide and it's 4¼ inches long. So it goes the full width here of the card. And if you don't have the designer paper that I'm using, you could certainly use any other designer paper that you have. But I thought that the Country Woods designer paper went really well with this particular pack of elements. So that's why I went with it. So we'll just add this in the background here. And then we're going to create our focal point. So for this particular card, I said I was using some of the fully flowering pieces. So these are from a different ephemera pack. This is the only card that has 2 pieces from a different pack. But the butterfly is from the Spring Celebrations pack. So you can use this element here, this floral element as it is, or you can add a little bit of color. So I decided to just add some color to it using my stamping blends. So I'm going to show you what I did with it. And basically, I'm using pumpkin pie. So there's a light shade and a dark shade of pumpkin pie. And you just color the image like you would if this was a stamped image. So this is the only card in where I did like anything as far as changing up the images from the ephemera pack. So like I said, if you don't like to color or you prefer to just use it as is, you can certainly do that. And the next card that I'm going to share, that's exactly what I did. I just used it in its black and white form. So, all right, so we'll add a little bit of that, and then we'll add a little bit of dark in there. And for the dark, I just kind of highlight different parts of the flower, just kind of using that ballpoint pen type tip instead of the brush tip. So I just highlight different parts just to add a little bit of contrast here. So we'll add that. So I know this particular pack is still available. So it is out on the Stampin' Up! Website. So if you're just joining me, it's called Spring Celebrations is the pack. This one's from the Fully Flowering. But there's lots of different ephemera packs that you can use. So now we're going to add some of the green, and then we will be done coloring this. So it's a pretty simple little flower that you can color. I just thought it went really well with the rustic style of this ephemera pack. That's why I grabbed this particular flower. But I'm just using the light shade of Old Olive just to add some color here. I'm going to color in the stems. And you don't have to be perfect, because I certainly am not. All right, so now we're just going to add a little bit of dark, and then we're done with this. So let's add some dark pieces in here. I like using the light and dark together because it just gives you a really nice look. I'll just add a little bit in there. All right, so that'll look pretty good. Okay, so that is all I did for coloring. And you can obviously make this any color, but I just went with the colors that were in this other ephemera pack. Excuse me. All right, so now I'm just going to add some different layers. So I have a piece of Mossy Meadow cardstock, which is 2 by 4. And then I did a little embossing. So I have a 2 3/4 by 3.5 inch piece of just embossed white cardstock. And so I'm just going to adhere these together. And so this is a really nice layout if you have any kind of floral stamp images, or of course, if you're using the ephemera packs like I am. So it's a very simple layout, and it's a great way to just kind of showcase that floral design. So we will add this to the front. All right. So I think that's stuck down. So now let's just add our little pieces. So these two came, like I said, from the Fully Flowering ephemera pack. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue, or a lot of glue, one of the two. So we'll stick this right behind here. And then we'll add some dimensionals to that. So like I said, the nice thing about these ephemera packs is you can mix and match. You can mix and match with your designer paper. You can mix and match with other ephemera packs, whatever you want to do. So there's lots of fun things that you can do with this. And sometimes I like to just create some quick cards where I don't have to do a lot of thinking. I don't have to put a lot of effort into it. All right, and then the greeting and the butterfly came from the Spring Celebrations pack. So we're just going to add this to the bottom. So let's add a couple dimensionals. So you don't even have to stamp any greetings because the pack comes with some greetings that you can use. So let's add, I'm going to add a little bit of glue up here just to glue this down. Maybe. And then we'll put that right there. And then we'll just add our butterfly. So see how quick and simple it is? Just put a couple of dimensionals on the butterfly. And then we have our first card. And that's it. So this is probably one of my favorites, just kind of mixing all of these pieces together. So, all right, so that is the first card that I wanted to share. So that one I colored. This next one, I didn't color. You can certainly color the bird. This is one of the images in the pack. But I decided just to use the bird as is and add some colorful background. So we're going to start with a piece of early espresso cardstock for the base of the card. And then I just have a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of white cardstock. And then I just used up some scrap pieces of designer paper that I had. So these pieces are 3½ inches long, and these are just an inch wide. So those two are just going to go on the top and the bottom. And this one's also 3½ inches long, but it's 2¼ inches wide. So it's a little wider. And so basically what I'm going to do is just adhere these right down the card front. So if you guys have a lot of scrap papers, the ephemera packs are a great way to use up those scrap papers because, you know, this bird design is not colored, so you can use it with any pattern paper that you want, and you can coordinate the colors if you want. So we're going to add these right down the center. All right, so I think we got them. And then we'll just add this to the card front. All right. And then we just have these two little pieces from that Spring Celebrations ephemera pack. I'm just going to glue this greeting on a little bit just to hold it in place. Oh, as I scoot it out of place. And then we'll put some dimensionals on there. So I don't know if you guys have played around with some of these little ephemera packs, or if you have a particular one that you like a lot. This one happens to be my favorite. I mean, I enjoy the fully flowering one, but this one I really like because of the rustic, I guess, rustic elements that are in this particular pack. But you know me, I do like flowers, so. All right, so we are going to just add this right in the front. And that's all there is to it. So the first one I showed you, you could color the images, or for this particular design, you can just use the images as is, and it just gives a really cool look to the card. So, all right, so that is the second design. And then let's see what else I got here. I'm going to do this one. So then I have this one. So this little nest with the branch, these are some of the little elements in this ephemera pack. And so I created a couple layers. We're still going to use the early espresso for the base of our card. And then we have a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of white cardstock, and I just embossed it. You can use any embossing folder you want. I tend to use the distress tile. So that's what I'm using for this. So we'll just add this right away. We'll add that to the card front. I have glue on my fingers, I believe. It keeps sticking. Okay, and then I have some additional pieces here that I just layered on. So I wonder if I cut them correctly. I might not have. We might have to do this a little bit differently. I cut it a little short. So we're just going to twist it a little bit. So this piece happens to be a 4 by 3 3/4. So this one I made 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, but that's all right. We'll just make it work. And this other one is 3 1/2 by 3 3/4. So I basically just adhered these kind of on an angle. So just to create, a little different look. And I think I'll angle them this way maybe. So if you mess up your measurements, that's okay. Just angle them. Just create something different. So we're just going to angle this just like this. So that other piece over here, I cut exactly the same, the width. But apparently I didn't do this one the same, but that's all right. We'll just create another layout here. And then we'll just twist this one a little bit this way. All right, so basically just create your layout, and then you want to add your little pieces here. So I have this little nest, and then I have this little branch. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back of this branch. My glue is brand new, but it doesn't want to come out. And we're going to add this right on the bottom of the nest. And then we'll add our dimensionals. And I have to snip a dimensional. So you can snip your dimensionals into little tiny pieces. Do you guys do that? I do that. We'll add one right there. And then we'll pop this up. All right, so then we'll add this off to the side, and I think I'm just going to trim this just a little bit. We'll add that there, and then we'll add our thank you. So that sometimes you don't have to adhere all your pieces straight. I know I like to adhere my pieces straight sometimes, but sometimes I like to angle them like this and just create a little different look. So that's what are we on third card already? Yeah, that's what our third card looks like. All right, and let's go to the next one. So now I did a little bit of paper tearing, because you know me and my paper tearing. So when I'm using rustic style uh, paper and such, I like to do this paper tearing. So we're going to use early espresso for our card base. And this one, I just have a couple of different pieces. Hopefully I cut them the correct way. I should make sure. So this piece, let's see, this white piece is 3 3/4 inches wide, and it's 5 1/2 inches long. It's the full length of the card. And then I just took some of the Country Woods paper, and this paper is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. And so this is the paper that we're just going to do some paper tearing on the top and the bottom just to kind of create this worn look. So we'll do about like that. And then on the bottom here, we'll tear off a little bit more, I think. So you just want to kind of tear slowly to get a good tear mark, and kind of keep your thumb, as you're tearing, just kind of move your thumb down. And as you do that, you'll just get a really nice tear line. So this is just going to go right in the center here. And I added in some of the Thoughtful Journey paper. It has some really nice, like watercolor um, designs on it. And I already tore this piece because I was running low on the orange color. So I already tore it to make sure, did my paper tearing just to make sure that I had enough. So I'm going to adhere these together first, I think. Let's add a little bit of glue there. And we'll add this on the bottom. And then we'll add, I have glue all over. And then we'll add this to the center. So you can add layers of paper that are just torn pieces. Great for using up scraps. And you can create just a really nice little background. Especially with this ephemera pack, there's a couple of large greetings in here using the with this flower design. So I just thought that would be a really nice little background. Have a little bit of embossing on there with some torn paper. And let's add this. And so that just becomes your background. So you have some texture, you have some torn pieces, and then we have these two little elements from the ephemera pack. So the greetings in here actually pop out. You can use them as is, or you can pop them out. And I'm going to pop this greeting out. So there's like 3 different pieces you can get. We're just going to go with the 2 different pieces. So that's going to go there. Let's put this on. So I'm gluing this one down, maybe, if I can get my glue. We'll glue this one down, and then the other one will just pop up with a couple dimensionals. So this will go right across here. And then this, we're going to add some dimensionals to. So I'm going to use my smaller dimensionals to kind of hold these pieces together because there's 2 separate pieces, but I don't want them to come apart. So I'm going to add some dimensionals down the side there to hold that together. And then we'll do the same on this side. We'll just use some bigger ones. We'll do this over there. And we'll add one. Well, let's add 2. So anytime I have pieces that I want to stay together, I kind of hold them in place with dimensionals. And all right, so this is card number 4, I believe. And then this is just going to get popped up. So this will just give a little bit of dimension in here on our greeting. And then we'll just add our little butterfly to decorate it. Now notice I didn't add any embellishments. I didn't add any dots or gems or anything like that. I just thought these little elements were just enough and it was pretty as is. So, all right, so that is card number 4. I'm going to get you through all these. Here is card number 5. And so this time I did a little Easter one with some of the Thoughtful Journey paper. Let me grab this one. And so for this one, we have a piece of white cardstock for the base of the card. And then we have a piece of white cardstock, which is embossed. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I have a couple different pieces of designer paper from the Thoughtful Journey. So this is 4 by 3 3/4. So that's going to be this piece. I don't have any more of this particular design, so I'm just going to show you it with a different pattern. And then this is 4 by 2. So basically we're just going to be doing the same thing. We're going to be doing some paper tearing, and then we're just going to layer these pieces together. So we'll get a nice good paper tear going here. Let's go ahead and adhere this to the background. And I can just add these right away. All right, so this is going to go down on the bottom here. So let's put that on there. And then we're going to tear the bottom part of this one. And so let's see, how did I want to do that? I think maybe I wanted to do it this way. Nope, we're going to tear the bottom part of this one. So I'm going to tear most of this green off. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, so we'll add this piece. So I always give myself a little bit extra when I'm doing some paper tearing. So I do end up tearing off quite a bit. So we'll layer those two together. And then we're going to do the same thing with this Easter greeting. We're just going to pop off that back piece. And then we're just going to adhere this. It just doesn't want to come out. There we go. We'll just adhere this to this. We'll put that on there. And then we'll add some dimensionals to this other piece here. And again, we'll just hold this in place. I think this time I'm just going to go all the way around with some little dimensionals. All right. And then for this card, I actually decided, since I didn't have that same paper, which gives us a really nice look in the background, I decided to add an additional element. So I thought maybe we could tuck this in here. I just got to find a spot. We could tuck this in there. And then I have this butterfly, this pinkish color butterfly, but I'm actually going to use the white side of the butterfly because I want the white to, I kind of want it to be white on white. I lost my dimensional. There it is. So we're just going to put the white butterfly off to the side here. And then we'll just add this little element. And I'm using the white side of this as well. Let's put a little glue there. Just kind of tuck it under there. Okay, so that's basically the design for this one. I really like it with this paper, with that background, how that looks. But this one turned out pretty cute too, so. All right, so that is card number 5. And then this last card, I know St. Patrick's Day is over, but in this particular ephemera pack, there were some good luck greetings in there. And so I decided to just add a couple of different layers here. So I created a banner kind of for the left side of the card. So this is 1.5 by about 4 3/4 inches. And then I just kind of dovetailed the bottom here. And then the square pieces, I just layered together some pattern paper. So it's just 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. And then the green This is actually granny apple green, so the green is 3 by 3. So I just layered those two pieces together. And this is from that pack of DSP. I think it's called Serene. Is it Serene Love? I think. But again, you can use scrap papers if you want to. And then I have some ombre paper, which is 3.5 inches long and it's 2.25 inches wide. And so I just layered these pieces together. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm basically using up scraps. That's what I'm doing. So yeah, I like to layer my pieces and glue them together first and then try to add them to the card. But actually, let's let's see if we can add this. We're gonna add that. We'll add that and then add a little bit more glue. That's how I roll. Okay, so we'll add this to the card front. So that's your basic layer. And then you have a nice spot for your greeting for these little pieces here. So let's add some dimensionals. I have to grab some more. We'll add one of these and these. All right. So let's add the good luck. And then we will add, let's see what kind of pieces do we got here. We'll add this piece here. Oh, we'll move it over a little bit. And then we'll add this piece like this. So just add it right there. All right, so there is our sixth card. Can't count it. All right, so these are the cards. So these are just 6 cards that I created. Let me bring them back for you with this particular ephemera pack. But this is not all the cards that you can create. You can create many more cards. And this month is actually what I am featuring for my tutorial for this month. So I created 6 additional cards, which are all in my tutorial. And I give my tutorial away for free to anyone that orders through me. So this is this month's tutorial. And just some fun ways, additional ways that you can use this ephemera pack for card making. So, all right, you guys. Well, that is what I wanted to share with you this morning. So we were able to just kind of walk through 6 different card ideas. They go together really quickly. Obviously, you know, when you have a layout that you can use, the cards are going to go together very quickly because all of the elements in these ephemera packs are already pre-cut, pre-designed. You just need to come up with a layout to use them. So I hope these layouts were helpful for you. I hope you're inspired to just kind of play around with the supplies that you have on hand with these particular layouts. And if you like this ephemera pack, it is available. I think it is going to be one of the retiring items, I believe. So you may want to get out there and grab a few of these because this is a really nice pack that makes some really quick and simple cards. So I will get these cards out on my blog for you with all of the different measurements so that you can recreate these designs. All right, so I hope you enjoyed these card ideas and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a great week. And I will see you guys again next week. So take care, everyone.